Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the preview show. Today featuring a very special guest. Yes, we're going to have some first-hand comments from the manager himself, Ange Postecoglou. We sent Ryan McGinley from the podcast along today to the press conference to ask a few questions, so stay tuned. We'll get all of that in today's video, but it's a game in which a lot of people are expecting quite a bit from Celtic. A lot of people not happy with the way recent games have been going. Is Hibs the game to try and get everyone back on one side of the fence? Well, let's talk about it today in this preview show. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated on the road to 40k subscribers. Let's get into this. Let's not waste a lot of time because I've got so much to get crammed into this video in such a short space of time because it's quite late in the day. I was at university this morning and then we had to wait for the press conference, of course, to get the comments and find out the team news, etc. So I want to get this up as soon as possible. Another big game for Celtic, of course, playing Hibs tomorrow. Always a difficult game, whether it be at Celtic Park or Easter Road. Hibs, they always offer a challenge, and it's another big game and a huge month for Celtic. You know, game after game, each one of them presenting a massive challenge and huge significance. You know, last week we were second away from dropping points in what is already a kind of close fight at the top of the table. If we did drop those points last week, we would have been sitting on level points with Rangers. So now we're still 2 points ahead. That 90th minute goal held so much importance for us. And tomorrow's game, I feel like it needs to be a performance that, you know, we get it done and dusted, we take the 3 points and we keep ourselves at the top of the table, but along with one that's going to bring a buzz back around the fans, because right now there's too much of a split. Following Tuesday's game, I feel like we need a big result. The disappointment of crashing out the Champions League and a disappointment of not winning another Champions League game, I think it's brought a lot of negativity amongst our support. And it's not everyone. As I said, I feel like there's such a split. And it might not even be 50-50. I feel like it could be, you know, 70-30. But there are so many people who are so negative at the moment and so concerned. Listen, look at the grand scheme of things. We're top of the table. We're fighting hard. Got every chance of still winning so much silverware this season. And we've got Ange Postecoglou still at the helm. You know, we're in a really good position. But I understand the kind of the worries of some fans. We haven't been scoring as many goals. We've been missing big chances. And I feel like I've been saying for the last few domestic games that the next one has to be a statement type of performance. So we are all positive again. Really annoying, but we'll get there. And it's just about trusting that process. We've got a great manager at the helm. We've got a great group of players, one of the best groups of players we've had in a long time. I, for one, am still very confident in this team's ability, but Hibs is a big challenge. Let's start with the dreaded injury list, shall we? We may as well get the news out the way. There will be 3 names added on to the 2 we already knew that will miss out this game at the weekend. We already knew about McGregor and Carl Starfelt, of course, but Jota, David Turnbull and Stephen Welsh have also been confirmed to be missing the game. So some major players out. Jota, we were hoping, could be back for this game, but Ange Postecoglou has confirmed he will not be back for this game. Ange's comments, let's have a look. So the manager had to say Jota's not available again. We've just got to be a bit conservative with him and we expect him to be back in training next week at some point. David Turnbull picked up a bit of a knock on his ankle and Welsh also picked up a knock in training. So it's not too serious for Jota. We are just being cautious with bringing him back into the team so we don't aggravate anything that could be there. But it sounds positive in the sense that it's not going to be any more than this weekend, hopefully. Whether or not he'll come back into the team for the game against Motherwell in the Cup, you know, we could maybe rest him one more time there. But he should be back for Tynecastle, which is, I think, a huge bit of positive news. You don't want to miss him for any games, ultimately, but it could be far worse. And we're already missing, of course, Starfelt, McGregor, 2 huge players in this team. To miss Jota for any more than 1 or 2 games is, you know, we can't afford that at this moment in time. Turnbull and Welsh out as well, of course, also misses for Celtic, but hopefully just 2 knocks and not anything longer term. So let's get into what I want to talk about the most in this video. Ange Postecoglou has been shooting on Scottish football and its media and its reactionary fans and everything else. He's not held back today at the press conference with his comments in regards to the reaction of Celtic at the moment. And rightfully so. Do you know what? I love this from the press conference today. It is a good old-fashioned shoot from the Aussie boss. And do you know what? I'm all behind it. Let's have a look at some of his comments when questioned today on Celtic and their kind of their forum, if you like. He was questioned on whether or not Celtic are not as good at the moment in time, if there's anything to worry about, all the kind of generic stuff that the journalists keep sort of asking. They keep pounding away at, is there something to worry about, is there something to change, etc, etc. And like, it is a broken record. I seen something on, and shout out to 20 Minute Tims, but there was a fantastic clip from their podcast the other day, and it was in regards to the media not listening and just not grasping this whole concept of Ange isn't going to change. And it's like, they're trying to push this at him and he won't listen. The guy's been everywhere around, Asia and Oceania. He's done all these jobs with the Australian national team in Japan and Australia. And he's won playing his style of football. But for some reason, the Scottish media just can't grasp that. And Ange has continuously told them, I will play football my way and will win my way because you've done it other ways before and it's not worked. So it was a great point on that podcast. Shout out to them. But Ange has had his say today in regards to it. So here were some of the comments Ange made at the press conference this afternoon. Living here for 18 months now, I've seen the Scottish national team go from heroes to no-hopers to heroes again. So I get this whole boom-bust cycle. We're not the only country that struggles to get results in the Champions League. I can only talk for my club. If anyone can tell me from the 4 games that we've played that we don't deserve to be there or looked out of place, then I reckon they're talking from an agenda or some sort of bias. And I think there is a huge element of truth in this whole boom-bust cycle that we see in Scottish football. And it's not just the media who are guilty of it, it's us as fans. And I think I've done a pretty, and the majority of us have done a pretty decent job in keeping our heads attached to our body and not getting too carried away with not winning in the Champions League, because we have performed well. We have showed significant improvement from our last few ventures in the competition. And you can say what you want about not winning games, but to suddenly throw your toys out the pram and suggest that there's something incredibly wrong at Celtic, I think is a very weird take to take on it when, it was only a month ago we were beating Rangers 4-0 and, we were the best team in the world. It is boom and bust in this country. It always has been, and it always will be. Scottish football fans of Celtic, of Rangers, of the national team, of Hearts, of Hibs, of Dunfermline, of Arbroath, we're all so boom and bust, as Ange says. It's so easy for one team to be top of the world 1 minute and, wanting to sack their manager the next minute. Now, no one wants Ange sacked right enough, but I'm just going to use another example, and I don't mean to poke fun at them, but it's incredibly funny. If you remember my video that I done at the weekend in regards to the reaction of the last set of domestic games, Celtic were apparently on a downward spiral. We were finished. Rangers were back. They'd won 4-0 at the weekend. And it was going to be only a matter of time, according to some Rangers fans, that Rangers would be back on top and Celtic were going to be struggling. Fast forward 3 days, Rangers are losing 7-1 in the Champions League, and the exact same fans making those comments the weekend prior are now wanting Giovanni Van Bronckhorst sacked. That is the nature of the league and the country that we live in and watch. We are so much like that. And he makes a very good point, Postecoglou, in terms of the national team, because so many people, and I'll take, I will hold my hands up here and say that I was guilty of it. I was wanting Clark out shortly after he was a hero, and now he's kind of a hero again because he's done so well in the Nations League. We are so fickle, and it is sort of reaction to the moment rather than the overall picture with us as football supporters. But I like that he brought it up, and I like that he consistently uses it to clamp the media who try and push the narrative and push the agenda. There is nothing wrong, drastically wrong at Celtic at the moment. Yeah, of course, there's a massive part of it that we're missing big chances, etc. And it's understandable to create concern about that. We're not exempt from criticism. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. Criticism is warranted when it's needed. But, to then blow it up into something even bigger than that is just absolutely nonsense. And it is an agenda that some are carrying. And the manager's attempts to call it out, always successful, always fun to watch. But I really did enjoy his shoot this afternoon on that. And I think there was a few more comments in amongst the press conference as well in regards to, reactions and such. So you can go and listen to the full press conference if you like. So talking about Ange and talking about the press conference, let's bring in Ryan McGinley and his questions to the manager this afternoon. He was there on behalf of the Celtic the Thunder podcast. If you've not watched the most recent episode, it is on the channel for you to check out. It was live the other night. But he was there. He asked a couple of questions to the manager. So here they are. Big shout out to him. Make sure to follow Ryan on Twitter.
Hi, Ange. So this exact fixture earlier on in the year handed debuts to Daizen Maeda and Rio Hatate, as well as a sub-appearance from Yosuke Ideguchi. I know you don't like to lump the 3 or 4 Japanese players together, but from that point in January this year to now, what development have you seen in them both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, enormous in terms of, both, as you said, on and off the pitch. I think they've really sort of adjusted to life here. They've worked hard themselves at improving their language skills so that, they're less reliant on sort of translators and being able to communicate with their teammates and just generally fitting in. They're pretty resilient in terms of, they all came out here with a real ambition to have a career for themselves. So whatever sort of difficulties or setbacks they've had along the way, they've, worked hard with the help of our staff here to overcome them. And in terms of their football, I think they're improving. Obviously, with Yosuke Ideguchi, he's had some setbacks, unfortunate ones, and it's taken him longer sort of to adjust to the football here. But Rayo and Daizen, I think they're still two relatively young players. I think are adjusting to football here and the demands that it has, and are improving all the time.
And Sead Haksabanovic has played in a number of positions since coming into the Celtic side following his move from Kazan. How important is his versatility to the team, given both the hectic schedule and the injuries that the side are currently facing?
Yeah, very important. It was one of the reasons we brought him in. We felt like we needed a player who could play. He can play both wings, play right wing, left wing, and he can play, as he's already shown, as sort of that advanced midfield position as well. So that is important, as you said, because invariably you don't know where you're going to get injuries, and for us they seem to come in clusters of almost the same position at times. So having a guy who can fill in 2 or 3 areas is really good, and it's important to our squad structure. And besides all that, he's a very good player. He's got some great technical ability. Again, he's still relatively young, so there's improvement in him, and he's really determined. I think he's embracing the football club, and he's enjoying being here. Understands the size of this football club, and I think he sees a real opportunity for himself to establish himself here and really get his career going.
Some interesting points in regards to Ryan's questions, especially surrounding Haksabanovic and Daizen Maeda, because there has been such different reactions to both players over the past week. Of course, Haksabanovic, many folk were saying, was the best player in the park for Celtic on Tuesday. And Daizen Maeda, a player who many Celtic fans want to see dropped after Tuesday. So interesting to hear his comments on both of them. We will talk about them in the team prediction segment of the show. But interesting nonetheless to hear the manager's comments and what has been a big week for someone like Daizen Maeda, who is under a lot of criticism. So let me know your thoughts to the manager's thoughts in the comments below. Finally, we'll talk about the opposition a little bit. Match preview, and we've not even spoke about Hibs yet. The first time that we will take on Hibs with Lee Johnson in charge, and currently third in the Premiership, to many people's surprise. Let's be real. Don't think many folk expected them to be up there right now, and especially after a kind of ropey start to the season as well. They are putting a lot of folks' opinions into the mud at the moment. Can they keep that up? That is the question. Here's their form at the moment. It's actually pretty good. 4 wins on the bounce before playing Dundee United midweek, where they suffered a loss. Actually, aside from that loss, they have been doing pretty well. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a really tough game against Hibs. Of course, I've got players who could do damage. Martin Boyles came back and done decent so far, back in a Hibs jersey. But Lee Johnson has hinted at some changes for this game. There might be a few changes on the side. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, a decent Hibs side at the moment. I'm getting very, very, very worried about the length of this match preview. I've been talking for quite a while, so I'm going to get on to our team prediction for the game against Hibs tomorrow. This is the 11 that I am going for. As you can see, not many changes from that team that took on Leipzig midweek. Joe Hart in goals, a back four of Juranovic, Vickers, Jens and Taylor, a midfield three of O'Reilly, Hatate and Haksabanovic, and a front three of Liel Abada, Georgios Giacomakis and Dyson Maeda. Oh my god, you're all screaming, aren't you? Maeda's in the team. I don't think we're blessed with options at the moment, because one thing we've got to talk about is Abada. He's not 100% guaranteed to start. He went off, obviously, on Tuesday with a bit of a knock, but it did appear to be only, I think it was a dead leg. He should be okay, theoretically speaking. A dead leg shouldn't be the worst to come back from. But whether or not he'll start the game is a different story. There's actually a conversation for maybe James Forrest even starting this game at the weekend. So I can feel everybody screaming at me for having Maeda in my starting 11. And listen, I'm under the firm opinion that Maeda does need dropped for a bit. He's not been providing what we need. He's been missing chances. He's been wasting opportunities. He hasn't been at his best. It warrants a drop from the team. However, I just don't think we're blessed with options right now. And what we'll do, we could play Haksabanovic in the left. Ideal. Do that if you like, Ange. I actually would want you to do that. But do I think he's going to change that midfield three? I don't. I'm fed up, I guess, in Abelgard to start, and then he doesn't. So maybe if I change it up this week, he'll actually start Abelgard. That's the team I'm going for. Whether you like Maeda starting or not, I think he could be in the team. Ange spoke about perseverance. How long will he go on persevering? That's a big question, but I just have a feeling that Maeda will still be in the team or in the lineup come tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, I've went with the same midfield three because I just don't see the big change coming yet. Hibs is still a tough. We can't underestimate Hibs. They are a team that is capable of dealing out some damage. So we need to play a strong side, and a side that's been playing football. So that's the 11 I'm going for. And then finally, on to the score prediction. I think Celtic will win tomorrow. Hopefully they win tomorrow. It'll be a tough game. I'm going to go 2-0. Hoping we can keep a clean sheet. I'm hoping we can find the goals. Oh, I never even spoke about it. Kyogo, I've dropped Kyogo. Like, you've kept Maeda in, but you've dropped Kyogo. Yeah, because I think it's easier to make the striking change without too much of a dilemma. That's simply it. There's no worry about fitness or whatever. Giacomakis, he's ready to come in. I feel he deserves a start. So I'm putting Giacomakis in, and I feel like he might. I feel like he might just play. Anyway, 2-0. Get goals. Keep a clean sheet. Up the road. Get a pint. Have a nice Saturday night. Right, that does it. A longer sort of match preview today. Christ almighty, too long maybe. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hopefully tomorrow, when we're on the channel doing the match review, we're happy and we're not complaining about anything at all. I don't want to complain about nothing. I don't want to see any complaints about anything. But we'll hope. We'll pray. Right, that'll do it. See you all next time.